All right, let's dive into something that's, frankly, one of the most exciting frontiers in science right now. We're talking about the idea that we can actually physically change our own brains to learn better, think faster, and be more effective at, well, anything. So, let me just start by asking you a question. What if you weren't stuck with the brain you were born with? I mean, really think about that. What if you had the power to build a better one, starting today? It might sound like something out of a sci-fi movie, but it's the very real science we're going to unpack right now. Okay, first things first, we have got to throw out some really old, really outdated ideas about the brain. And the biggest one is this myth that our brains are basically set in stone once we hit adulthood. For decades, we really believed this stuff. We thought that after our teenage years, the brain was pretty much done changing. And you've all heard that myth that we only use like 10% of our brain, right? Well, as neuroscientist Dr. Laura Boyd explains, new tech like MRIs has completely blown those ideas out of the water. The truth is, your brain is always changing. And even when you're just sitting there resting, your entire brain is a hotbed of activity. It never stops. And this incredible ability has a name: neuroplasticity. The key takeaway here is that learning isn't just some abstract idea. It's a physical act. Every single time you learn something new, whether it's a new language, a new chord on the guitar, or even just a new fact, you are physically rewiring the structure of your brain. You are, quite literally, building a new brain, cell by cell. So, how does this actually happen? How does thinking about something or practicing a skill actually translate into a physical change inside our heads? Well, the science shows it happens in three key ways. Dr. Boyd's research shows that our brains change in these three fundamental ways when we learn. First, there's a super fast chemical change, which is all about short-term memory. Then there's a slower, more permanent structural change. And finally, there's functional change, which is when your brain gets more efficient and shifts how it uses different areas to get a task done. Now, that difference between speed is absolutely crucial. Those quick chemical changes are great for cramming something for a little while, like remembering a phone number just long enough to dial it. But for a skill to truly stick, for it to become a part of who you are, you need that deeper, slower, structural change. That's the brain physically building stronger, more lasting connections. That's the real deal. So, okay, we know the brain can change. That's amazing. But knowing how to change it in the most effective way, now that is the real game changer. It turns out not all practice is created equal. The way you practice matters a lot. A really cool study from 2020 looked at exactly this. They had two groups learn a new motor skill. One group, the frequent repeats group, did the same thing over and over and over again. The other group, the minimal repeats group, switched it up. They practiced with more variety. So who do you think actually learned more in the long run? The results are, well, they're pretty shocking, honestly. The group that just repeated the same action improved the response time by 41 milliseconds. Hey, not bad, right? But the group that practiced with more variety, they improved by 74 milliseconds. They almost doubled the improvement. This shows us that making practice a little harder, a little less repetitive, leads to way, way more learning. And the study puts it perfectly. They found that mindlessly repeating something just isn't the best way to build a long-term skill. It's the act of switching things up, of introducing variety and challenge, that really cements what you're learning into your brain's structure. It feels tougher in the moment, for sure, but the payoff is so much bigger. And this connects directly back to Dr. Boyd's research, and it's probably the single most important idea we'll talk about today. She found that the moments of struggle, When you're really fighting to get something, when it feels difficult, those are the exact moments your brain is changing the most. So embracing difficulty isn't just a nice motivational poster. It's the biological trigger for building a better brain. Okay, so we get it. We need to embrace challenging, varied practice. But let's be real, that takes a lot of mental energy. So, how do we actually sustain that kind of effort? Let's talk about a couple of powerful tools you can start using literally today. First off, let's change how we think about focus itself. It's not some magic talent that some people have and others don't. It is a skill. And just like any other skill, you have to train it. Think of it like a muscle. You're not born with big biceps. You build them through consistent workouts. Focus is exactly the same. So, how do you train that muscle? It's simple, but that doesn't mean it's easy. You have to create a routine. You have to practice every single day, even if it's just for a few minutes. And try to use the hours when your brain is at its sharpest. For most of us, that's in the morning. That consistency is what builds the muscle of focus over time. All right, tool number 2 is something called knowledge mapping. Look, when you're trying to learn something complex, all the information can feel like 1,000 puzzle pieces just thrown on the floor. A knowledge map is how you start to put that puzzle together. It's a visual tool that helps you organize all those scattered ideas and, most importantly, see how they all connect. And the benefits are huge for learning. Yeah, it helps you get organized, but it also sparks creativity because you start seeing new connections. It also shines a big, bright light on your blind spots, the things you don't know yet. It makes complicated stuff feel simpler, and ultimately, it just helps you make smarter decisions about what to learn next. So let's pull all of this together. We've talked about the science that our brains can change, the strategies to make them change effectively, and the tools to help us focus. But what does this all really mean for us on a deeper level? The thinker, Billy Carson, talks about this incredible idea of mental alchemy. It's the process of transforming your experiences, even the bad, toxic ones, into something valuable, into wisdom. And he says the secret, the starting point, is just awareness. Simply recognizing where you are right now, what you're struggling with. That's the first step to consciously changing your own mind. And this really leads us to a pretty profound conclusion, doesn't it? Learning is so much more than just memorizing facts for a test or picking up a new hobby. It is the fundamental engine of personal transformation. By choosing what you learn, and more importantly, how you learn it, you are actively sculpting the person you are going to become. And that leaves us with this final, incredibly empowering thought from Dr. Laura Boyd. The power to change your brain is right now in your hands. Your behaviors, your habits, your struggles, they are all the tools you need. So the only question left is, what kind of brain are you going to build? Please like and subscribe if you felt that this video was useful. This helps our channel to grow and encourages us to create more such useful content.